really kind of what separates a highball from your traditional whiskey service is just attention to detail and care. You can, and as much as you want to put into that is the best way to make a highball. So if you want to use a frozen glass, all the better. If you want to use a frozen, put your whiskey in the freezer and get that cold. If you want to use high quality soda water, if you want to use good ice, as much kind of care and attention that you can put in your highball, the better it's going to be. And that's probably the best compliment I can pay for, because it's a really easy drink to make, which makes it really fun to make at home. But really kind of what sets it apart from just a scotch and soda or whiskey and soda are the little details. So I actually went to a fancy liquor store, and you can actually get some of these fancy ice beers these days. And what that essentially does is it allows you to kind of enjoy your drink a little bit longer, keeps the drink a little bit colder without over diluting. And what's interesting kind of about how they make highballs in Japan is they kind of do it in reverse from a lot of American bartenders, where you usually start with the cheapest ingredient first. For this drink, you actually want to start with your whiskey. So we're going to take about 1.5 parts and top that there. As much as you can kind of pour it down the side of the glass in between the ice and the glass, the better. Makes you look like a pro. And then we're just going to take a bar spoon, but you can really use whatever you have on hand. You can use a butter knife or a chopstick, and just give it a few stirs. And what we're doing here is we're chilling down the whiskey. And that's going to make, one, the drink extra cold. When we take our first sip, we get that first impression. But it's also going to allow the soda to kind of integrate with the whiskey, and you're going to get that, that nice mix of bubbles and flavor. And you don't have to do much, just maybe 10 or 11 times around the clock, and then you're done. And then you just want to top it up with some high quality soda water. I'm a nerd, I made this at home. But the good thing about high quality soda water is that it's actually everywhere. The big brands are quite good. Schweppes, Fever Tree, things like that. Doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure you don't get a mineral water, because the water in Japan is very soft. It's actually quite similar to Scotland. And that's the water they use to make the whiskey. And it's probably the best water to use for your highball. And then you just want to kind of top it up here. If you really want to get nerdy, the classic ratios kind of change from time to time, but it's usually around 3 to 1. This is a standard bar glass, so it's kind of built into that ratio. And then you just want to give it a stir again, because we want our first sip to be as good as our last sip. So we don't want to make sure that we don't have just like a lake of whiskey sitting on the bottom of this glass. And hopefully when you do that, you'll get some bubbles rising to the top, but you want to stop pretty quickly because you don't want to get rid of too many of those bubbles. Still want it to have some pop when you take your sip. And then last but not least, you're going to want to garnish. Now you can do really whatever you want. You can do an orange, you can do a lemon. Some people do grapefruit, and I think that's absolutely delicious for Toki because you get a little bit of that bitterness. But for this one, just because this is what I had on hand in my house, we're going to do a lemon. So take a vegetable peeler. This is a standard wide peeler. It costs about $1 in a supermarket or online. And take a little bit of the peel off the lemon, put it between your fingertips, and just give it a twist across the top. Just kind of roll it. And if you're feeling fancy, just kiss the top there and drop it on in. And there you go, one Japanese highball using Toki. Very simple, very easy, very delicious. And Taki's going to talk in a few minutes about what the kind of foods that you can pair with this are. But before he does